Hey guys, Pogo629 here, and welcome to the first Bukkit plugin coding tutorial. I'm starting a tutorial series in which I will teach you how to code various plugins. We're going to start simple and get more and more complex. So let's get right into it. First, we're going to need to download a few things so that we can start coding. So there's a few websites you have to go to, and I'll put all these links in the description. First, you want to go to Eclipse.org. Eclipse is the name of the IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, that I use. This is where all the coding is going to happen. There are others that you can pick from, but I prefer Eclipse, and that's what I'll be using. So if you decide to go with Eclipse, click on Downloads, and then pick which one you want. I just use Eclipse Classic, so you can click on that and pick which download you want. I'm doing this tutorial on a Mac, but you can do the same thing on Windows or Linux. So after you have that, we of course need Bukkit. So Bukkit is used to run servers, but also plugins hook into Bukkit in order to do different things. So we're going to need to download a copy of Bukkit. Now, at the time of recording, the current Minecraft version is 1.4.7, and the current latest Bukkit build is 1.4.6, release 0.3, and it's a beta build. So you're going to want to download the 1.4.6 build so that it'll work on 1.4.7. Now, once you have that done, you're going to want to make a folder on your desktop, and you're going to put your craftbukkit.jar that you downloaded in there, and you're going to want to make a folder called testing server, because you need a server on which to test everything. So in there, you're going to copy your craft bucket, and you're going to paste it in here. Then if you go ahead and let craft bucket run, it will generate all the files that you need so that you can run this. Now you're also going to need the startup script for the plugin. So you can go to wiki.bukkit.org/setting up a server, and you're going to want to click on the operating system that you need, Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. Then you just follow through this tutorial, and it will show you how to make a script that you can use to start up your server. Okay, so once you have your server and your startup script created, let's just go ahead and run it to make sure that everything works. When you run it, you might get a failed to bind port error. So what you're going to want to do is type stop again, and once it says process completed, you need to quit out of it. What that means is that when you double-clicked CraftBukkit, it started running and it never stopped. So we need to stop it. If you're on a Mac, you need to open up Activity Monitor. On a PC, you would open up Task Manager. Search for the process called Java and force quit it. Now, when we go to start our server, it will start up correctly. Let's just give it a second to get ready. Okay, so our server's ready, and we'll come back to that once we have a plugin to test. Let's go ahead and type stop so that we can stop our server for now, because we don't need it running. Now you're going to want to open up Eclipse that you downloaded. Okay, so you'll probably get a window something like this. Now what we need to do is set up our workspace. The workspace is basically the place where all of your Eclipse settings and all of your projects are stored. So go to File, Switch Workspace, Other. Now you might get this pop up in the first place, and that's good. If you don't, then just do what I just did to get to it. Now you're going to want to go to your desktop, your folder that you made, select that, and then type workspace. You can call it whatever you want, but it doesn't matter. Then click OK. Eclipse will restart itself, and it will now load into the workspace that you just made. Now if you go ahead and click the X on that welcome button, you will be taken to your main Eclipse window. So there's a few things that we don't need here, so let's just go ahead and close them. This welcome to Sars we don't need. You probably won't see that. That's actually an add-on I have. Problems, JavaDoc, and declaration I don't personally use, but you can keep them. Sars, again, you won't see. Task list and outline are also not needed. So now you'll just see an empty package explorer and a whole empty space. This is where we're going to be doing our coding. Now let's set up our new project. Go right here and click Java project. Let's go ahead and give it a name. I'm going to call this test. You should be able to leave everything else here, and that should be fine. Then go ahead and click next. Now we need to add Craft Bukkit so that we can access it. So click on libraries, add external jars, and then go to the Craft Bukkit that you downloaded right here. Once you're done, click finish. So now we have our empty test window. Let's get started. You need to right click on src, new package. Now the package is basically where all your files are stored. You don't really need to worry about this right now, but when you make more advanced plugins that have a lot of classes in them, then you're going to want to keep them organized. So I just do me.pogostick29 whatever the plugin's name is. If you have a website, you would do like com.example.test, or you can do me.yourname.test, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Now you're going to want to right click on that, new class. Now a class is basically a Java file that contains code. So we're going to go ahead and name this test. And now test will open, and this is what we get. So here is our brand new project. Now we're able to get started. So in order to get started, we need to do a few things before we can get some real coding done. First, we need to type this. Okay, once you have that typed, you'll see a red line under Java plugin. What you're going to want to do is hover over that and then click import Java plugin. You can also go up to source and then add organize imports, and that will organize your imports and add any that you might need. Basically what this does is it says that this class called test is a Java plugin. A Java plugin is a Bukkit class file and basically Bukkit will be able to tell that this is a plugin file, and it will know what to do. Now there's a few methods that a Java plugin has built in that you need. First one is public void on enable. Basically, this method is called whenever the server starts up. Likewise, public void on disable. This method is called whenever the server is disabled. You don't need either of these, but these can be helpful for other things like when we get into events and configurations. Now, the other thing that you're going to want is you're going to want commands. As you know, a command is anything with a slash, so this would be the command. Now, in order to do that, we have to type a long string of code. Public boolean on command sender command cmd string command label and string, that means array, arguments. So basically what this means is the command sender is the person that's sending the command. So who could be sending the command? It could either be a player or it could be the console. The command is the actual command that's being sent. And that has information like what the command is and other things like that. Command label is basically the name, is basically what the command is. So the command class has other things other than just getting its name, but command label has just the name. And the string array of arguments is basically after the slash, that's the command after the slash. And anything followed by that is an argument. Now, one of the confusing things about Java is that it starts on 0. So basically, this is argument 0. Right after the command, it's 0. Then this is 1, then this is 2. So if there's only one command, like say you have vanilla and you're using TP, this right here is actually argument 0. So keep that in mind. So now we have, go ahead and organize your imports and make sure you do org.bukkit.command for that. Okay, and you'll see a red line under there. Go ahead and ignore that for now. So now we need to check. First, we need to make sure that the command that we're talking about is the right command. So we're going to write if cmd.getName. Now right here, you can also just say, instead of cmd.getName, you can use command label. I personally prefer cmd.getName, but it doesn't matter. Now you're going to want to say .equals ignore case. You want to make sure that it's correct, but also you want to allow people to type it. Even if they accidentally put a capital letter, it will still work. Now the command in this one is going to be test. Then go ahead and put your curly braces. So now, right now, we're checking if the command is test. So now, if they say that it's test, then we want to send them a message saying good job or whatever. So when I do sender, which is referring to this command sender, dot, and you'll see all of these different methods pop up. But what we want to do is send message. And then we want to specify the message. It's a string, so anything between quotes. So we can say, you ran the test command. Good job. Now, whenever someone says test, it will say, you ran the test command. Good job. Now, we need to get rid of this underline. Basically, the reason why it's there is because this method is a Boolean, so it has to return a Boolean, which is either true or false. I don't know why it's like this. It doesn't really matter. So under this, right above this curly brace that ends this method, you're going to write return true or return false. It doesn't matter. Okay, now our test command is done. So in onEnable, you can put it in for, let's say that we want to put in a message that says this plugin has been enabled. So you're going to do bukkit.getServer. When you hit enter, it will automatically import Bukkit for you. If for whatever reason it doesn't show up, just go ahead and organize your imports and it'll all be good. So bukkit.getServer.getLogger.info test plugin enabled. Now what this does is it gets the server, then it gets the logger that handles logging, all that stuff that you see printed to the console, and then we're going to log something, test plugin enabled, and it's going to be info. The kinds are, there's info, warning, severe, fine, and I believe finer. So we just want to say info, test plugin enabled. Now, you don't need to have this. You don't even need to have onEnable at all. Usually, I don't have these plugin enabled, plugin disabled things, but it's your choice. So we can just go ahead and copy that and paste that and just say disabled right there. So now, basically, we have a working command. Two other things that might be of interest before we test it. The first thing is, this command sender could either be a player or a sender. Sometimes we want to make sure that it's a player. For example, the next tutorial that we do is going to be simple commands like healing and feeding. So we want to make sure that it's a player that does that. So here's what we do. If exclamation point, and make sure you have a second pair of parentheses, sender instance of player. And you're going to want to import player using the same thing I told you. Now what this is saying is the exclamation point in Java means not. So it's saying if not, sender instance of player. Now the player class basically represents a player on the server. So what we're saying is that if the sender is not a player, basically if the sender is a console, then we want to do certain things in here. So sender.sendMessage, the console ran the test command. Good job. Now what we're going to need to do is return true or false. We just need to make sure that it returns there. Because now the next thing that we do is player equals player sender. Now what we just did is we said, okay, so we're making this new player. It's called player, and basically what we're saying is this command sender is definitely a player. So first we need to check if it's not a player. If it's not a player, then we handle it and we make sure that the code stops there. Then we can say, okay, this is definitely a player, and then we can do this. This is called casting. So now what we can do is instead of sender, we can do player. So now that will send the player that message. Now the other thing is you can also have colors in your messages. Now in order to do this, you're going to do chat color dot. Now here you'll see all the different options for chat colors. These are just the different colors that you see. So let's go with aqua, which is basically the light blue, which is and B. So then you're going to need your plus right there. And what that'll do is that'll make this text be aqua colored. Now over here we can do chat color dot, and we're going to go gold for players. Gold is that orange color that's N6. Make sure you have your plus. Alright. We're almost done, but we need one more thing, and that's the Plugin Dot Yml file. Basically, that specifies all of the information that we need to know about this plugin, and it will be given to Bukkit. So right-click on src, new file. Name it plugin.yml. Then go ahead and you can ignore if anything opens and drag that up there. And now you'll see this. We need to fill in some information. So first, name, test, main, and this is going to be your main class. When you have multiple classes, you want to put the class that extends the Java plugin. So me.pogosic29.test.test. This is case sensitive, and you need to include the package that it's in as well. Now, author, Pogosic29. You can put your name there. And description is going to be a test plugin. Now we need to register the commands. So commands. And now the command is test. So we say usage / command. So the usage is /test. And the description is a test command. Go ahead and save that and make sure it's in src and not your package. So this should all check out. You're going to want to go ahead and right click on this, export, make sure that you select Java and then jar file, click next, and select your server. So you're going to go to your folder, testing server, and then plugins, and we're going to call it test. And that's all that you need. Just go ahead and click finish. So now, if we go over to our testing server and our plugins, you'll see that test jar is in there. So let's go ahead and turn on our server. Oops. One thing that we forgot, and this is my fault, is the version part of the plugin. So right here, we're just going to say version 1.0. So when you start making plugins that you release and they get bigger, then you're going to have multiple versions, and you're just going to want to change that. So now we want to export it. It's already set to export to the right place. Now we should try our server again. There we go. And as you can see, it says right here, test plugin enabled. So that worked. Now let's go ahead and test it out. I'm going to go ahead and open up Minecraft and log in. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and join. Your IP, when you're testing locally, you can just type localhost, and you're gonna want to go up here and see what port you started the server on. So by default, it's 25565, and if it's 25565, that's the default port, so you don't need to type anything. Go ahead and click join, and you'll see that it says that I have joined the game. So now we should be able to go ahead and type /test, and it says you ran the test command. Good job. So for players, it printed it out in gold, and it said you ran the test command. Good job. Now if we type it in here, and remember, you don't need to put the / in the console. It says the console ran the test command. Good job, and it said it in light blue. So there you go, guys. Your first plugin. Basically, it prints out text whenever you send a command. Next time, we're going to get into healing and feeding, which is going to be basic commands that can change your health and food, and I'll show you how to do it for other players. So that's all for this time, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.